Strength training, the most underrated and thus the most important physical activity category. If you are like most of us, it is quite likely that you are one of the majority of people with lowered muscle mass. Our lifestyle has become so passive and toxic, that the average person has much less muscle mass than it did 100 years ago, and much more fat. Our metabolism has slowed down quite a bit. If you are a yo-yo dieter, then chances are that your muscle mass is even lower, or much lower than the average. Let's squash the myth about muscle mass being something that only gym addict steroid junkie bodybuilders should be concerned about. Absolutely not. The fitness industry has ruined one of the most important physiological development amigos. Muscle mass is vital for our health, metabolism and well-being. You might be normal weight, but most of it fat mass and would still suffer from all of the problems that overweight people suffer and more. It is much better to be overweight and muscular, than normal weight and with lowered muscle mass. Muscle mass's importance to our health and metabolism. It burns a lot of calories, even in resting state, up to 100 kilocalories a day for 1 kilogram of muscle mass. It uses most of the blood sugar increase after eating, thus preventing and treating insulin resistance. It helps our joints to move. Good functioning muscle mass is the #1 most important factor in preventing and treating musculoskeletal pains. It helps to prevent different kinds of injuries. It increases the effectiveness of aerobic activity. The more muscle mass there is to move around, the more fat energy your body needs to break down. Think about a marathon runner's body. It is totally adapted to use as little energy as possible. But with what cost? It improves strength but also aerobic capacity. So I hope you see now that the people that need the strength training and muscle mass the most are the ones that have the least of it. Not the fitness models and bodybuilders on the magazine covers, but regular people who want to improve their health and metabolism. So what does it take to improve muscle mass? The common misconception is that one just needs some resistance for that. Actually, the muscles need quite a lot of resistance. For example, many people with physical jobs think they are getting a good amount of strength training from their jobs, like orderlies, factory workers, etc., but they are actually getting aerobic exercise with a little resistance. This does nothing to improve the muscle mass, although is very useful as NEAT or aerobic exercise. For the muscle to grow, we have to give it a strong signal that its power isn't enough at this stage. This means we have to overexert the muscle. This itself means we have to train it to close to failure. The biggest problem seen in the gym or people doing strength training is that they are just going through the motions for a number of sets that PT has given them, instead of pushing their muscles to near the limit. Because the muscle really gets the signal to grow in the last 5 to 10% of the effort, it is vital to push oneself to that limit. Almost every time, not counting the warm-up and cool-down reps. How should you start with strength training? This depends on your current shape, limits and experience. For most people it is recommended starting with very basic body weight exercises at home. One doesn't really need much fancy equipment to get into a decent shape. If you are new to strength training altogether and don't have any equipment, start with these 3 core exercises. Squats, push-ups, crunches. Do those to 90% plus failure every set and 1 to 3 sets every session, even if it is 20 plus repetitions. Depending on your goal and form, you can do those sessions every day or every other day. When you are feeling good about your form and can constantly do 3 sets of 20 plus repetitions of each in one session, you should add different alterations to those and or take different equipment into use. You should also slow down the reps, so the maximum repetitions you can do is 20. By this point, you should be able to do 2 to 3 sets of 5 to 6 exercises in one session. You can continue from there with different kinds of exercises, home equipment, or start at the gym. The aim for this should be that at one point you will be doing 8 to 15 max repetitions for a set, and go through all the major muscle groups in your body in a week in 2 or 3 different sessions. By this time, you will be working to failure on most of the sets, and be constantly improving. The best indicator for this is that your strength is improving. This should always be one focus. When you find yourself just going through the motions without pushing yourself, just know that you are mostly training aerobic capacity. One other important factor in muscle mass and strength growth is correct nutrition. The nutrition chapter above covered 95% of that, and we'll cover the rest in a special chapter later. By now you should see that strength training is one of your best tools in dealing with slowed metabolism, burning fat and improving overall well-being. If nothing else at all, then do the 3 bodyweight exercises 1 set every day. It takes you 2 minutes, but it will benefit you for the rest of your life.